Department of Management at IGDTUW, I extend a warm welcome to one and all to this much awaited session on career opportunities in data science and data analytics. Today, data science and data analytics has gained the status of being all pervasive across the functions and domain. Nearly 90% of all small, mid-size, and large organizations have adopted analytical capabilities to stay relevant in the market where large volume of data are recorded every day. They use it to formulate solutions, to build analysis models, simulate scenarios, understand realities, and predict future states. To make us aware about various career opportunities in data analytics and data science, we are glad to have amongst us a dynamic and impactful speaker, Mr. S.V. Varadarajan. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
I would now like to invite Paridhi to introduce our esteemed speaker for the afternoon.
Mr. S.V. Varadarajan is seasoned analytics consulting professional and has held various data and analytics leadership roles over the years. He is currently the Vice President in Data Analytics function of HSBC. Sir has deep experience in applying analytics across various functions like operations, procurement, sales, marketing, etc., and has been responsible for driving large-scale data and analytics initiatives. He is passionate about education initiatives and actively volunteers with NGOs across the country supporting educational and financial literacy initiatives. Now, I would like to invite our guest speaker to deliver his address for the afternoon. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Paridhi. Thank you all. Give me a second. Let me start my video. And this is for everyone. I guess the video is enabled, right?
Yes, sir. You're visible.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sure, sir. So we have a question from a student. She's asking, what is the extent of data analysis used in investment banking or consultancy roles?
A lot. Probably everything in banking is dependent on the data that comes into the banking. So whether specifically in investment bank, if you look at, there are in fact various facets of an investment bank. Obviously, there is something called as a trading. There is something called as mergers and acquisitions. There is something called as capital desk. So whether it is equity or bond pricing, it's all done through algorithms. So you would have heard something called as algo trading in stock markets and derivatives markets. The pricing of what type of stock or what type of derivative or what type of a hedging instrument or of that financial instrument needs to be done. It's all determined by machine learning models. So that's one thing. In terms of risk, a lot of risk data is collected and managed by banks. So there is no way banks can actually operate without that level of high sophisticated risk data. There is a lot of data from credit agencies that is collected, and that data is used in all the credit decisioning models. Then there is a significant amount of customer transaction data also to some extent, because if a bank has a credit card with you, all your credit transactions get done. Similarly, a company also, just like individuals have credit cards, companies would have business loan or business kind of lending with the banks, and typically investment banks lends to large organizations. So depending on what rate to charge which organization when they invest or when they lend is all determined by a lot of other factors beyond just the organization. I mean, it's not same rate for all organizations in any case, and that is determined by a huge amount of data models. So data science is extremely big in banking and financial industry, not just the investment bank.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for answering the previous question. There is a question from a student. She's asking, what is the importance of data visualization in data analytics?
Extremely important. And why I say it is extremely important? Because at the end of the day, when you have to communicate the analysis that you have done, data visualization is probably one of the strongest platforms, because at a point of time, obviously, people used to still use Excel, they used to use PowerPoints and things like that. But the biggest restriction with some of these platforms are, one, they can't handle all types of data. And two, say something like a PowerPoint, you present an analysis, you always see a static view. So if you want to present a growth forecast, typically you do three types of forecasts. A kind of very optimistic scenario forecast, a realistic scenario forecast, and a less than realistic scenario forecast. Now, if you were to do the scenario building in an Excel, possibly you can, with very advanced automation skills and programming skills, people can still build that kind of simulation in Excel. In presentation, you can never build that in a PPT. So how do you then kind of build these type of simulations, data simulations? So it is only done through data visualization software, like we discussed earlier, things say like Tableau or Power BI or ClickSense, ClickView. These are some of the, in fact, I think Google Data Studio, and there are a lot many things that are coming both on cloud and the traditional data BI platforms. And it is a very important skill. I would strongly advocate anybody who wants to start, not just in the data science industry, any industry. I mean, you may not even want to have data in your maybe future professional role, but if you are in marketing, if you are in sales, if you are in HR, if you are in kind of some kind of an IT business analyst or something like that, understand a little bit of data visualization, learn a little bit of data visualization. There are all these tools are available free, whether it is Tableau, whether it is ClickSense, whether it is Power BI. You can kind of download the trial version for 30 days, or you can use the cloud version, always free. I think it's eternally free. There are probably very few things that you don't get it, which you don't really need it unless until you are deploying in an organization wide scale. But for doing practically all analysis and all visualizations, you can use these tools free of cost. So go ahead, pick any one tool. I think it is absolutely fine, and learn these tools. Obviously, programming languages like R, Python also have their own data visualization tools like Matplotlib and other things. So they are those packages that you can get, import, and do data visualization. But the point is, if you're not someone who is very programming friendly, if you're not someone who is not keen into data science very seriously, but still wanted to have that flair of data understanding, what we call as data literacy, go for one of these tools. It's very simple, very easy. In 2 to 3 weeks time, you can easily learn how to build a basic to kind of intermediate type of a dashboard.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, you have answered the next question in this one only, because there is this student who she's asking that can you please recommend tools and softwares of data analysis and data visualization for beginners? But I think you've clearly mentioned them. There is another question which states.
Probably, Paridhi, I would just want to add one more thing here. And although it is not considered very fashionable, Microsoft Excel still is one of the best data analysis tools. Trust me, I think unless until we become dinosaurs, which means it practically exists, we don't exist, Microsoft Excel is going to exist. So till the time we become dinosaurs, Microsoft Excel is going to exist. A Tableau or a Click or Python may exist today. Something else can come 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. But trust me, the power of Microsoft Excel, again, I think it's one of those competitive strengths that I discussed. Microsoft has 98% of Office productivity suite market. And it's not without a reason. It knows, it collects, it understands, it exactly knows the kind of use cases why people use it for, and Microsoft has been using that knowledge to develop the product. The Excel today you have is probably on par with any of the sophisticated data visualization tools, and it can probably do 80% of what you can do with the sophisticated data visualization tools. So before you go on to a lot of complicated platforms for simple data analysis, moderate data analysis, even complex data analysis, learn how to do with Excel. I will tell you one reason why that will always help you, because you don't ever go and do something straight out of the box and deploy it. In organizations, there is always this concept called as proof of concept. And why do people need proof of concept? They need the proof to know that something works. So today you came with this brilliant idea and you came with this brilliant analysis, but not everybody can operate Python. Not everybody can interpret the results of Python. Not everybody knows how to build dashboards in BI platforms. But if you know how to use Excel, which is probably the basic but one of the strongest and most powerful data analysis tools, it's not, so to say, a data science tool. So don't kind of, maybe mix that with it. For data science, you'll still need platforms like, at least say something like a Python. Excel can do some amount of basic data science, but if you really want to be a data scientist, I think Excel is not the right way to start the data science. But for a good data analyst, for a good business intelligence person, for a good reporting analytics person, Excel and a platform like Tableau is going to serve them fantastically for their career for a very long time. So that's why I just wanted to add that don't discount Excel thinking that Excel is not great, but Excel is still one of the best tools available out there. Yeah, you can go on for the next question.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is that how to get a data science and data analytics job as a fresher. I mean, they like what skills should we have? What are the important skills that we need to have?
So I think for the skills, I'll probably tell you to refer to the slide that is there on the kind of WebEx. At the end of the day, data scientist is about these three things. Now the point is, you might have the mathematical skills, you might have the computer science skills, you will not have the domain skills unless until you get into it. If you look at some of the professional studies, right, some of the professional courses, like for example, let it be a doctor, let it be an engineer, let it be a chartered accountant, all of them, as part of their education, actually do internship, 6 months, 12 months. So a doctor needs to, I think, at least do 1 year of internship in a hospital under some senior doctors to even get to start practicing independently. I think some of the fields have that trigger, while some of the fields don't have the trigger. And unfortunately, today data science is becoming one such field. Everybody thinks they can become data scientist by knowing the tools or by knowing the techniques, but it's not those two that is there. So like you can clearly see, mathematics, computer science, that's what you learn in the universities. You are machine learning expert, you can probably be. But for getting into data science, you need to understand the business domain. You need to understand the context in which you use the data and not just know how to run tools or how to run models. Now, how can a fresher get a job in data science? It depends on what you define as a data science. And it depends on what companies define as data science. Because, for example, a data science, even in the same organization, forget about different organizations, a data scientist in Facebook in Bombay may be doing a completely different kind of a role compared to a data scientist in Bangalore in Facebook itself, compared to a data scientist in US in Facebook. So it depends on what you want to do. So data science, as I said, is eventually going to become like a doctor's profession. You need to decide whether you want to be a general specialist or you want to be a specialist in one of the fields. So depending on what you want to do, I can certainly maybe suggest some of those. But there is no, while companies do advertise generic roles for data science or data scientists, please understand there is nothing generic about that role.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. There's another question. What are the common problems that data analysts encounter during analysis?
I think it's a very good question, and I'll probably take a step back before actually moving into the problem to kind of tell why those problems occur. So what majority of them think when they join a company as a data analyst or a data scientist or a data consultant is that I'll have all the data available, made available for me. I'll just go pick the data, put it in my system, and run some fancy analysis and get the output. Now, that is not the reality situation in most of the companies, especially if you're working in a large company. 100% of the times, it's not the situation. Small companies, I think, yes, getting data is a lot more easier. So large organizations, because we discussed in the past, data is all about competitive advantage. Large organizations have extremely stringent processes to access the data, and you need the right level of access. So first thing is the data access. Second thing, once you get the data, you need to understand, is the data fit for your analysis? So, which is exactly where a process called as ETL happens. Extract, transform, load. Now, extract obviously extracts the data from various systems that you'll have to extract the data from, whether it is your CRM, your HRM, your sales systems or your customer systems. Once you have the data extracted from there, you'll need to see if there are missing data, if there is garbage data, if there is kind of unrelated data, if there is data which can take extreme values that will potentially impact your analysis in a kind of unfavorable manner or a favorable manner. It should not have any kind of pull and push on the model. The model needs to be as neutral as possible. Now, that is, or the analysis, even if it's not modeling. So that's exactly where you'll need to kind of, think about these aspects of data. And these aspects of data, you'll only know it once you understand your organization better, once you understand your domain better, once you understand your function better. Because if first today, you go into the organization, somebody gives you last 1 month's sales data and tells you, now tell me who are my top customers. You can obviously take the data and just do some, Pareto analysis or do some pie chart, bar graph and all of that and tell these are my top 10 customers, these are the top 10 product lines, these are maybe, the most profitable product lines, these are the most profitable geographies, all of that you can do. But how do you know that what you did is right? Because most of you would have heard about something called as garbage in, garbage out, right? So what you got was not correct in the first place. It's not the mistake that you did. You didn't do any mistake. You did the right analysis. But because the input was wrong, was garbage, your output actually ended up being a garbage. So people will not trust your analysis. You say, this is my top customer basis, the data, people will not trust it. So that's where first thing you need to start learning to understand the data, look at the data, get the sense and feel of the data. Am I kind of, seeing all the records first? Am I seeing sudden values? It can be that the customer purchased only once in the whole month, but it was a one-off very big purchase that made the customer in my top customer list. But is that really my top customer in that case? Or are there other customers who are consistently purchasing from you over a period of time? Because looking at 1 month data, it's very difficult to say in many cases who my top customer is. My top customer wouldn't have actually purchased in that month. So it is not to jump to analysis and to conclusions. It is to get more understanding of data. It is to kind of, start critically analyzing the data. So there is one skill that if there is one skill, and this is a non-data skill, by the way, that will help every data scientist with immense success in their career is critical thinking. And unfortunately, that is not something you get taught in any of your colleges or schools or universities. But that's something you'll have to kind of, build it over a period of time. There are obviously some good books, but books will only give you some frameworks, but will never teach you. So critical thinking, if you use, you can probably figure out most of these problems. But problems are not really problems. These are the general pitfalls that exist. So if you are in the industry for 2-3 years, you know these pitfalls exist and you typically kind of, take care of them when you begin the analysis itself. But when you are new, naturally, it's very difficult for you to conceive that these kind of pitfalls can exist. And hence, sometimes we make these mistakes, which is exactly where when we don't know about the data, when we don't know about the industry, let's then start thinking about it and analyzing it critically. So build your critical thinking skills. I think it's a lot more easier to get the flaws. And there is one thing I always tell, as freshers, when you enter, do not have a kind of fixed notion that this is what a data scientist does versus this is what a data scientist doesn't. At the end of the day, if you want to really grow in your career, I always refer to something called as a T-shaped model. So if you look at the T, the vertical line of the T is your depth. That's your specialization. And the horizontal line is your breadth. That's your awareness of the topics. As an individual, today when you start your career, you can't think of specialization. Because specialization is something you can only decide after 5, 6, 8 years of experience. What function is something I like? What domain I like? What do I kind of, take more of and expand my experience in that domain? First 6 to 8 years, try to look at the breadth. Try to build new technical skills. Try to build new data science skills. Try to build new platforms or tools skills. Try to build all these things over a period of time. So for 6 to 8 years, learn these things. And I think after 6 to 8 years, you will know which platform you'll need to do. And that's when you really become the T-shaped professional. And once you become a T-shaped professional, irrespective of whichever industry you use it, irrespective of whichever platforms you are using it, whether it is Google, whether it is Amazon, it doesn't matter. Your processes and your frameworks are going to be the same. So please remember that. And I think that itself will help you to kind of, plan your data science career pathing.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question was actually, how do I become an industry-ready data science professional? But I think you have summed up everything in a very, impressive way. So I think if you want to just say, if you want to sum up by, this question by giving an answer that how do I become a perfectionist, or maybe not a perfectionist, but an industry-ready data science professional, then what would you like to say?
I think there are some platforms like Kaggle. Try to kind of get onto those platforms. Kaggle is a real good platform, but there are obviously many such platforms. A lot of companies today conduct hackathons. In fact, TCS conducts, Infosys conducts, Reliance for its Geo networks is conducting a lot of hackathons. Try to participate in these hackathons. You actually win a lot of prizes. You actually get exposure to a lot of data. In fact, they even give you the tools. They even give you the training. So that's one way you can get real-time exposure. But otherwise, yes, it's very difficult to get anything close to real industry experience sitting outside the industry.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much, sir, for giving a really insightful session. I think we can, end the Q&A now. Now, I think I would request Sonia to take over and give the vote of thanks.
I would like to thank our guest speaker, Mr. S.V. Varadarajan, sir, for enlightening us with his corporate knowledge. Thank you so much, sir, for giving deep insights into the topic and also revealing some interesting facts. I am pretty sure the knowledge that sir gave us will definitely help us in our future endeavors. We thank you, sir, for taking out the time from your busy schedule. I would like to thank VC ma'am, registrar sir, all the deans, HODs, all the faculty members for giving us the opportunity to organize this event. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Ankit Verma sir, the faculty member of Department of Management, IGDTUW, to extend a formal vote of thanks to our esteemed speaker.
I'm audible, Paridhi, Sonia.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule. It was a really fruitful and practical session. Data, as we know, is the most common word we used to hear every day, but it is the most difficult word to understand. So thank you so much, sir, for letting us know in the Indian context and in the starting everything we needed data. So as we all know that data is the future of our country and the future of every country. So thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your knowledge. Thank you so much.
In fact, I would certainly thank each one of you for being a patient audience and giving this opportunity. It was indeed a pleasure interacting with all of you and sharing. So I enjoyed this as much as probably some of you did, but this is something I even would say is my passion. So I am definitely the privileged one. So thank you all for having me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And wish you best of luck in your
Thank you,
careers.
sir.
Sir, on behalf of the Industry Interaction Cell of IGDTUW Department of Management, I would like to thank all the participants for joining the session. I hope you guys enjoyed the session and I wish you have a really nice day.
Thank you all. I know it's not a topic
you
that
so much, sir.
kind of can be completed in a day, because it's not that after this topic all of you are going to become data scientists. But yes, it's a topic that is of as much as interest to me as much as it is to you and a lot of people in the industry. So anytime you have any questions, anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than glad to kind of chat and interact, even if it needs to be on a one-on-one basis. Yes, happy to kind of share my experiences always. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend and wish you best
Thank
of
you
luck
so
for your
much, sir.
courses.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time, and it was indeed our honor to have you with us. I'm sure that all the knowledge that you've given us will definitely, we'll take a lot of things, learn a lot of things from that, and it will be beneficial for our future. So thank you so much once again for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Bye-bye.